11 things you wouldn't believe about these countries. 11. Most overweight population. Nauru. Nauru has the unhealthiest population in the world. 95% of people in this country are overweight. Its obesity epidemic is mainly attributed to the importation of Western fast food that coincided with an improved standard of living in the 20th century, due to the global popularity of its phosphate exports. 10 to 350 sheep for every person. Falkland Islands. The population of Falkland Island is little less than 3,000 people, but it has at least 500,000 of sheep. So it makes it around 350 sheep for every person in the island. Not surprisingly, it is a major exporter of wool. 9. Most lakes in the world. Canada. Canada has most amount of lakes for any country in the world. It actually has over 3 million lakes. 9% of its territory is actually freshwater, and 60% of the lakes in the world are actually found in Canada. 8. Land with no rivers. Saudi Arabia. Yes, Saudi Arabia has no rivers whatsoever. For a country as big as Saudi Arabia, there has to be at least some sort of flowing water. Well, there isn't, to be honest. So how do they get their fresh water? It comes from desalination plants or underground reservoirs. 7. Most diverse country. India. One of the most important slogans you'll hear in India is unity in diversity. No doubt it is possibly the most diverse nation in the world. Culturally, economically, climatically, racially, linguistically, ethnically, and religiously, India is more diverse than any other country. Even in terms of food, it is extremely diverse. Every state has its own unique preparations. 6. Most of its citizens live abroad. Malta. Yes, Malta is a country with most of its citizens living abroad. This European country suffered with rough economy for a few years. The situation became so bad that most of the people decided to shift base. 5. Country mostly covered with forest. Suriname. This South American nation is almost entirely covered by forest. With 91% of its land covered in jungle, Suriname's 500,000 residents live primarily along the coast near the capital. Only counted few live in the inland of this country. 4. Largest country with no farms. Singapore. There are extremely small nations with no hint of agricultural economy, but a country of the size of Singapore is expected to have few farms. But almost this entire country is urban with no dependency on agriculture whatsoever. Singapore is the largest country in the world to have no farms. 3. Most literate people. Canada. Canada holds the record of having most literate people in the world. With 50% of its population educated at the post-secondary level, it seems quite unlikely that any other country will pass Canada in this. It is followed by Israel at 45% and Japan at 44%. 2. Least peaceful nation in the world. Somalia. Somalia is almost regularly in news and never for any good reason. Although Iraq was the country to hold this title for 2 consecutive years, but it's Somalia this year. Political instability, civil wars, corruption, etc. are few reasons behind Somalia's current condition. No country would want this tile, and let's hope Somalia leaves it behind too. 1. Most people behind bars. USA. Now here's a title that USA wouldn't wanna associate with. With 2.2 million people behind bars, USA doesn't seem to be losing this one anytime soon. This number also tells you about the overall safety in the country. China comes in second place at 1.5 million and Russia comes third at 870,000.